Hey, just a heads up that the following content may be disturbing or triggering for some listeners and is not appropriate for children. Please take care of yourself and others who may be listening with you. Welcome to the Bonus Babies Podcast, a show that has no easy answers, only hard questions.
Being in that situation and as a child, and you feel so lost, and in that darkness, it really does make you think that why are you even here? Like, why would you be born just to be in this struggle? Why would you be born just for people to abuse you? And unfortunately, we live in a world that's like, there's a lot of bad people. But we also live in a world where there's also good people. And we just have to either find those good people or be the ones that end up growing up to be those good people for the people who are like us when we're young.
That's right. You become the good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you're doing that, Daron. I think it's a really important mission.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me what you call the kids who you've cared for over the years?
We feel that the children that we receive coming into our home are bonuses. So we call them bonus babies.
I love that. This is your host, Jayne Amelia Larson, and I'm a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate volunteer for youth in foster care. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. In the same way a CASA works, I explore all things in the foster care maze by talking to kids, parents, caregivers, attorneys, social workers, therapists, really anybody and everybody who will speak to me to keep the conversation open and the information flowing about all things CASA.
My name's Jake Eberly, and I'm the producer of the Bonus Babies podcast. You're about to hear from Daron Bennett. Now, Daron came to my house to record this episode in our studio, and he's just an incredible human being with an incredible story. He was taking care of himself and his brothers on the streets when he was 4 years old. He taught himself to read when he was 11. He put himself through high school and college, studied anatomy and physiology, then became a competitive kickboxer, joined the Army, became a signal specialist, and then started his own cryptocurrency. And his intention is to end generational poverty. Here's Daron and Jayne Amelia.
Hi, Daron. Thanks for coming to the Bonus Babies podcast. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just happy to be here and just be able to tell a portion of my story, and hopefully that story can affect others in some type of positive way.
Oh yeah, I think so, because I was just really struck when I met you. I think you're a really inspiring human being, but I mean, people will figure that out in a pretty short time. So let's just get to it. Why don't you tell me who you are? Like,
Yeah.
how you're raised? What's going on?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was raised in South Central area, 75th and Figueroa. It's known as a kind of an area that's unfortunately with a lot of prostitution. So during the early 90s, I grew up in that area, and then eventually just transitioned from that area to downtown, then from downtown to MacArthur Park area, and then from that area to Echo Park area.
Right, so you've been all around LA. Right?
Yeah, definitely been all around.
Yeah, and your very early years, you spent a lot of time in a housing insecure situation, right? Pretty much on the streets.
Yeah. So pretty much like there is a part of my life where, my mother was on drugs, and so she had to go into a program. So that program, in order for you to be around your kids, you have to get cleaned. So she was in that program for a while. She actually quit cold turkey too. Once
Really?
once they told her like, hey, look, we're taking away your kids, she said, okay, well, I quit, and then she went into that program. So it's just she was just I don't know, just the strongest person that I've ever known. Just to be able to do a lot of things that she did.
And what happened to you when she went into the program? Because you were taken away from her for a little while, right?
Yeah, so we weren't even with her. It was my brother and I at the time, and we pretty much. I guess it's kind of hard to pinpoint on a structured kind of area of what it was in regards to like the traditional system that you are put in, but we definitely were in a very bad situation during that time frame, as I believe I was around 4 years old up to around 6 years old. My brother and I pretty much had a very interesting childhood.
Right. So when you say interesting, I know you mean something else. So what do you mean?
So, yeah, so, I mean, pretty much we've seen everything, prostitution, gun violence, everything from being beat, everything from being, starved, in a way, forced to do a lot of things that we weren't supposed to do at that age. So it was just a terrible situation for us at that time.
And did you know when you were that little kid that it was just all wrong, or were you just trying to survive?
Honestly, I knew it was all wrong. I guess I grew up quickly, even though I was just a child. So I was very cognizant of what was going on. Like I knew what was going on, what was wrong, but I knew that I also had to be strong for my brother, even though I was the younger brother. And so I tried to be that strong brother.
Right. So you were his protector.
Yeah, definitely.
And were you also your mom's protector?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that positionally, that's the part I've always played in my family for everyone.
Why do you think that is? Why is that?
I really don't know why. Naturally, I've always had that kind of that inclination to protect. I just feel like it's just something that's been a part of me. They when I was, I believe, a newborn, at the time my mom I believe she got arrested. And so, unfortunately, she left me in, I guess, a crack house. And so at that time, like, whoever was taking care of me didn't take care of me. So for about 3 days, I didn't eat or get changed or anything as a newborn. And so fortunately, I was rescued. I was rescued and the person who rescued me ended up being my stepfather, who I considered like a true father. And he took me to the hospital, and the doctor told him, hey, one more day, he was dead. So I was very fortunate to be saved.
How did he know to find you? Because
he was looking for my mom, actually.
I see. He was looking for your mom, and then and presumably looking for you too.
Yeah.
And then when you taken for your mom and you went into care with your brother's father, right? And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how was that? What was that like?
Man, I mean, it was a very interesting situation. Like I said,
interesting again, huh?
My brother and I, we pretty much we had to take care of ourselves a lot of the time. Up at like 1 o'clock in the morning in the streets, walking the streets, just he and I kind of just, trying to figure out what we're going to do and stuff. And then oftentimes we left and with nothing to eat, and we would eat like hard rice, uncooked rice and water, because we weren't allowed to touch the stove or the refrigerator. So, it was there's a lot going on, obviously forced to drink alcohol and stuff like that. And
Why do you think he did that?
I'm not really sure, because he was drunk.
Just
So,
to fuck you up, you think?
yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. It's just it just happened, So unfortunately,
Yeah, and you also live with your grandmom.
yeah, yes, exactly. So that was on 75th Street. There's actually it was a greenhouse right by the freeway, and man, that it was like a pack rat house. Like basically trash all the way up to the ceiling in one of the rooms, right? And then
She was a hoarder?
yeah. Mm-hmm. And then like rats everywhere. Like at night they would crawl on us. And then like when you would open the cabinets, it was like a swarm roaches would come out, like probably like 400, 500.
Like a flood of roaches,
Yeah,
like all
yeah,
at once?
all at once. And yeah, it was a very, very dirty like area, and just hoarders there. Unfortunately, a lot of that is not the best for like cleanliness. So it's
Was that scary?
I mean, I got
Or was it
used
just
to it.
gross? Like,
It was nasty, but I just was used to it. I really was used to it. We had these cats. They weren't our cats; they were just street cats. But they were her cats actually. She did have cats in here, and I believe the cats were there to kill some of the rats. But I guess it was too many rats.
so she had a little bit of a system, right?
Yeah. She was trying her best.
So did she love you, or?
Oh yes, of course. She unfortunately, I even I even still feel bad to this day. Like when I think about, I stole money. I was like 5 years old, and I seen some money on the I guess the nightstand or whatever, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna go to the store. So I told my brother, I said, hey, come on, let's go to the store, and it was a few $100s for sure. And so we went to the local liquor store, like right around the corner, and I was buying all types of candy and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to give away some money. So I started giving money to all the people that were walking in.
You started giving the money away?
I don't know why I did that, and then.
You were a generous kid even then, huh?
Yeah, I suppose so. And then she found out, and I told her, oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I just wanted to have some candy. And I went overboard, of course, because I started giving away the money instead of just going to go buy some candy.
And all this time when you're being moved around, because I know you were in foster homes too, in a group home. What happened with school? Did you go to school? Do you remember any of that?
Yeah, I mean, so we moved around a lot, honestly. So there's a point in time where we were in shelters. It's like the women's shelters.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the place where they sometimes will also take kids if the
Right. Yeah. So
Right.
we went to one where they took all of us. So I think it was, at the time, it was 5 of us.
Right, so it was more than just you and your brother. It was your mom and other brothers
Yeah.
and sisters.
That's when my mom had got us, basically got out of the program, and so we went to this place in South Central where they would bring in the homeless women and their children, and so we had this little corner, and I was on the top bed, and we had these other little corners, and there's this girl actually that I had a crush on, and her mom that was right next to us and stuff. So I would always, you know how it is, you're trying to get attention and stuff. So during that time, I was doing that, and then it was open, like an open space. It kind of reminded me of like barracks, and but just a bunch of bunk beds everywhere. And then you go into the actual kitchen. There's an open kitchen and stuff too. You're actually not supposed to go in there, because I would go in there and like kind of like look for food. It's like, oh, but you have to eat at a certain time, So
Right, so it was regimented to some
yeah,
extent, right?
definitely.
And so what happened with that girl? What did you do? Did you try to get her attention? Did you
No,
talk to
I'm
her?
pretty sure.
What?
I'm pretty sure that I kissed her.
You kissed her? Oh, wow.
I don't know. I think I watched too many of those movies when I was a child. So I did definitely kiss her.
So what happened when you were 11? Because something kind of big happened then. You were in 7th grade.
Oh, yeah. So at that time, pretty much, I couldn't read until, I would say fully 8th grade, like really read. So when I was in 7th grade, I was tired of being in special ed. And
Yeah, because there's a lot of stigma with that, right?
Yeah,
You
of
feel like
course.
it's like you're like really ostracized.
Exactly. And I felt that way. And, one day I came home and I told my mom, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of being special ed, and I said, I don't want to be in here anymore. And so she said, well, I mean, well, read. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to read. That's the whole point why I'm telling you, I don't know how to read, but I'm stuck in special ed. So she goes and grabs a book and just like tosses it into my chest. I had a little bird chest back then. And I was like, and she just told me read. And I kind of like, I guess it kind of stunned me, because I wasn't really sure what to what to do. And I just walked into to my room, and I was like, well, shoot, what am I going to do? And I was confused, and then I realized, well, shoot, oh, yeah, there's a library. So there was a library not too far around the corner, and I would go to the library every day after school, and with multiple notebooks, and I would write down, like, first thing I did was picked up a dictionary. Then I picked up a few other books on supposedly teaching you how to read and stuff, right? So in those notebooks, I would write one word probably like 500 to 600 times just to try to figure out the word. And then
So wait a minute. So you opened the dictionary and then you wrote words out over and over and over again in order to learn
yeah,
the words, to learn how to read?
yeah. So after a while, I tried to like say the words out loud, and then once I felt like it was good, I moved on to the next word, and I had a lot of notebooks, and then I would take these other books that like I guess for ESL and stuff, and then basically learning how to read and write with that. Like basically by me doing, I learned how to read, right? I had to do everything, and then that's how I learned how to read.
Right, and that actually has become a theme in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we'll get to that. But so I just I want people to really hear this. You taught yourself how to read.
Yeah. So it took me about a year. So it took me about a year to really teach myself how to read. And then after that year in 8th grade, I was reading at a 10th grade level.
Wow. How do you feel about that now?
I don't know. I just thought it was just normal for me to do. I didn't think it was anything different than what anyone else had to do. I just felt like, okay, well, I just had to work a little harder.
But how about now? Don't you think that's
Right
pretty
now, I think
freaking
it's
awesome?
pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yes.
A little bit. Like, yeah.
I mean,
I did teach
do.
myself how to read.
I think it's really awesome. It just shows such determination and discipline and fortitude.
Yeah, I had to be. I mean, that was the only thing that I knew. Because if I wasn't, then I don't think I would have been in a position to at least protect people.
Wait, really? So you knew that if you became learned, that it would make you a better protector? That's what you thought?
I thought that the more tools that I had in my arsenal, the better protector I would be.
Wow, it's really amazing. I mean, there aren't too many kids, really, that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was I just thought differently as a child because I saw so much, and I just felt like, I really wanted to, I guess it was in me, like internally, just to be able to, not to be able, but to have that desire, to want to protect.
Right, and also the desire to learn. I mean,
Yeah.
in my talks with you so far, you're just super curious and you're super
Oh
determined.
yeah. I was always an inquisitive child. One to go a little back actually. When I was in elementary, I believe it was 5th grade. So I had this story called was it Mr. Robot? So in 5th grade, and then I had a friend basically do all like the creative stuff, the drawing, because I couldn't draw and I still can't draw. So I told my mom the story. I said, hey, I got this story and it's this contest, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, I can't write these words, but I had the ideas in my head. So I told her the story. She wrote the story out, and I ended up winning the award, right, for best story. So that was cool. So I didn't know how to read, and I definitely didn't know how to write those words, but I did have an imagination.
Wow.
And funny thing is, like, when I was lazy, and I think I was in City College at that time, and I was like, I think taking English 101, and then they said, oh, well, you have to do a creative writing, and I said, well, shoot, I don't really feel like writing, so I said, you know what? What about my story I wrote? And I'm thinking, are you crazy? You're really gonna put in the story that you wrote? Well, you didn't even write. Your mom wrote, and for 5th grade, I said, yeah, why not? I got an A-. My mom was an amazing writer. So she was an amazing writer. She always loved English. And yeah, So it surprised me. It's like, wow, I guess I was pretty creative as a fifth grader.
So you had to move schools though, even when you were a teenager. So and then you ended up having.
Yeah. So when I was in ninth grade, I pretty much got kicked out of LA High.
Why was that?
At the time, I don't think I was really paying attention to class, and I wasn't really doing too well with my grades. And I'm not really sure why. I think I just didn't feel like it. And so I ended up being called to the principal's office, and he's like, well, you know what? We're going to have to kick you out. And the reason why he felt that it was justifiable is because I technically didn't fall within the district. So I had to I think it was Belmont was my home school. And then, my mom ended up calling my uncle to see if he could potentially convince them, because he used to be a star player at LA High and eventually Fresno and then eventually Green Bay Packers for about 2 years, I believe.
Oh, get out! Really? That's cool.
And
Cool.
so he basically spoke to him, and then his coach was like, yeah, let me see what I can do. And the principal said, yeah, he's still leaving. And
That
so,
didn't help.
yeah, it didn't help at all. And so I got kicked out, and then I kind of lost a year of high school when I went to the high school in the Valley. And yeah, I was bused there. I was bused there every day, every morning about 6:30.
What was that like?
It was fun. I met
Really?
I met a lot of friends that I still have as friends now from going to that high school. So
You mean so you met new and different people
yeah,
and
yeah. So majority of my friends in high school were actually Asian, because I went on a bus that went through Chinatown. And so pretty much every time I went to school and I came back from school, it was probably like 99% Asian on the bus.
then like
It
you,
was
the
like
black
me and
kid.
a few other Latino people, and that's about it. And
Oh, so like it became your own little
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it was pretty cool though. It was pretty cool.
And you ended up graduating. It took a little
Yeah, so
time.
yeah, I ended up pretty much. I didn't graduate on time like I was supposed to, because of I thought that I had finished the credit, and then I spoke to my counselor, and he said, "You know what? Yeah, you don't have enough credits." And I was like, "What? I've been making up these credits all these summers." And yeah, I was missing only a few, and I didn't
Wow,
get
so
it.
you're doing all this extra work and
Yeah,
you thought you were like moving ahead toward the goal to be on stage
yeah,
to
yeah,
get your degree, and then at the last minute you find out, oh no, whoops.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, and yeah, so I had to pretty much go ahead and finish those, and then that was that. But I didn't graduate on stage, unfortunately, because of that situation.
Right, but because you got it done.
Yeah, of course.
You ended up going to college, right?
Yeah, so actually, right after I finished that, getting those credits and stuff, I decided to go to vocational school. And I was like, well, what can I do that I actually want to do, or I've always wanted to learn? And I always had like an affinity for anatomy and physiology. So I was like, well, what if I try to do like physical therapy aid and massage therapy, and but it's gonna be hands on. So pretty much, I went to a vocational school and I got certification there. It was like a 10-month, I believe, 11-month school. Finished that, and then I started working at a clinic,
So as what? As a physical therapist, you
like a
said, right?
physical therapy aide and massage therapist. Yeah,
Right. So then at that point you're basically the healer protector.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty much, pretty much. It's a great field too, though. But I just, I really didn't want to stick to that one thing. Again, my inquisitiveness didn't allow me to. So at that time, when I was doing that, after I was working and doing that, I decided, okay, well, let me check into the first college, which was LACC. So got there, and then I started kind of like testing what I really wanted to do. Um, I think I was a philosophy major for like a year and a half, and
Mm.
then I was like, maybe I should switch. Then switching to like information systems. Um, and that's why I was like, okay, computers is kind of like what I wanted to do anyway. Because prior to, if I go back, actually, I started messing around with computers because of my cousin, and because he would always like build them from scratch. So yeah, I learned from him. I learned from him how he was always putting the computers together and fixing them, and because he was a gamer and he liked building the computers for games.
So do you know anybody who has the amount of skills and diverse experience as you?
I'm pretty sure there's countless with 10 times the amount of diversity and experience. I'm just
Maybe, but I mean, even at a really young age, you become a physical therapist, you're a philosophy major, you end up in information systems, and then you end up in the Army.
yeah.
And explain to me what you did and what it means, because I have a little bit of understanding of it, but not a whole lot, and I want people to know.
Yeah, so I was a signal system specialist. So essentially, you deal with satellite communications, secure communications, setting up servers, setting up tactical radios, ComSec. You do everything that basically a 25 Bravo. It does a lot of people's jobs. Pretty much the 25. Actually, you do the 25 Bravo job, you do the 25 Sierra job, you do the 25 November job. But I was 25 uniform.
That means you did it all, right?
Yeah, pretty much. You're like the jack of all trades and master of none. So, but you have to know everybody's job and stuff in order to really kind of like work on the different tech stuff that you'll be working on while you're there.
So while you're doing that, how did you say, wow, this is really cool? I mean, like I'm learning all this stuff. This is amazing. Or were you just doing it just to learn something new and just like check it off?
It was a check off, honestly. I wanted to experience it. And then after that, I wanted to do something else, which transitioned me into doing like primary focus on kickboxing.
I'm sorry, what?
That's when I transitioned to primarily focusing on kickboxing, once I was like done with that.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think you mentioned this to me before.
No, I don't think I did.
So what was that like?
Yeah, so I've had a background in like martial arts. Like I think I go back into like it was like 14, 15 years old. And then like I really got serious about it when I was about 17. And then I started really getting into it even more when I was 18, 19. I started doing JKD, Jeet Kune Do, and Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. At Academy in West Hollywood. And one of the major arts that I actually really liked was Savate, which is French kickboxing. And at the time I was like, I was really into it. And then, my Sifu was like, yeah, you should focus on it. And then I didn't focus on it, honestly, because there was an opportunity to like go to France and stuff, but I didn't do it. So this is like, I'm going back into the story, right?
Right.
But to fast forward, after I was doing everything in the Army, I was like, okay, what do I want to really try to do? And I was like, you know what? I really didn't do what I was supposed to do with the kickboxing and stuff with Savate. So I said, but I've always wanted to really train Thai style. So I ended up going to Thailand and training there, and one of the boxing academies in Bangkok, and getting fights there as well, and just living there and coming back and forth. I traveled all over Thailand. I was in Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, Uttaya, Pattaya, Phuket. So many different areas, and just exploring the country, and then actually embracing the art, because their national art actually, and their national sport rather, is Muay Thai. So everyone watches Muay Thai every day.
Yeah.
Every day
like
on the TV.
It's like a full cultural
Yeah.
Right?
You see little grannies and grandpas just, watching it every day. They love it there. This is their national sport. So, and the people there are just so kind and humble, and I believe it's called the Land of Smiles, and definitely so. Always smiling and always happy, but very deadly.
So when you were little, you weren't really a fighter, although you probably learned how to fight. You were the protector.
Oh yeah, I definitely wasn't like an aggressor or anything like that. But I learned how to fight because my older brother always would, position us in like he would either beat us up, or he would like teach us, right? Because he wanted to toughen us up. He didn't want us to be, what he would always say, soft.
Right, you mean your oldest brother, not the one closest
Yeah, my
to you.
oldest, yeah. And he said, yeah. yeah, I need you guys to, to not, because especially during that time, there's always people picking on you and stuff, and then a lot of gangs, and so it's just like, okay, well, we definitely don't want you to someone to just roll over you and be a pushover.
Do you ever wonder now, as a grown man, how you as a kid got through all that? Like when you see a little kid who's like 4 or 6, and you think about that was me.
Mm. Honestly, now that I think about it, yeah. I mean, when I look at like my nephew, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wish that on any child, and to know that was me. And I was like, wow, how did that? Because it's like he's so innocent. He's so
Yeah.
innocent. He's such an innocent, and always happy, and just always smiling, and always wanted to. He's so much so much energy, and to see that was me. I was 4 years old. I was 5 years old, but I was in a different position.
Yeah, you didn't have that protection.
Yeah, so it's very crazy when you think about it. But I don't really think about it like that. It's like, oh, sometimes I feel like, oh, well, it was just supposed to happen. You know what I mean? But just crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't actually think it's supposed to happen.
Definitely
Did
not supposed to
happen?
happen. It's not definitely
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to happen, but it wasn't supposed to happen at all. But I feel like for me, it's like it happened to me in such a way that it didn't affect me to the degree that most people would be affected. It actually prepared me for a position that I need to be prepared for in the future.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, Daron. A really interesting observation about yourself as well, because that sounds like that's true. But whether that's just because you got lucky,
Yeah.
or because you were just born a certain way, or maybe there's like something about you when you were a little kid. It's like, no, I'm going to use all this.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely was more, I guess, aware. I was aware. I definitely was aware of everything that was happening, everything that was going on. It was like I had a mind of an adult.
How do you think you would be now? Like, if have you thought about having kids? Like, what kind of dad you would be?
I think I'd probably be a very overprotective,
Um,
very overprotective, and I would try to be the best that I could be. I suppose. I'm not a off front very affectionate person. But I show affection through my actions.
hmm That's nice. That really counts too.
Hmm.
A lot of people are very kissy huggy, but their true actions aren't. They don't care for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, so I see it all the time. And it's like living in this facade. Maybe, and that's unfortunate because when you think about it, people live in some false sense of who they are their whole life, and basically they never lived because they were
Yeah.
never themselves.
I think that's true for a lot of people, Daron.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I met you at a crypto conference.
Yeah, the Phantom Developer Conference in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, which is wow, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then, okay, so how did you end up doing what you're doing now?
I've been in the space since 2015.
I love how you say in the space. It's like the crypto space.
Yeah, I've been in
It's like this
space.
whole world, like separate from like the real world, right?
It feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And so it was always like I got introduced in this space like through a friend, like army friend, and like which focused on cryptography, and
Mhm.
obviously the blockchain is built on those principles. And I've always
Well,
been,
it's directly related to actually the signal system in a way, right?
yeah,
Isn't
exactly
it?
too.
It's
Yeah,
like
it
an
definitely,
extension of it.
yeah, it definitely is like because security keys, communication security, et cetera, et cetera. You know, there's definitely so much. There's a lot. There's a lot to I would say focus on in regards to like the security part of it that's built into the blockchain. But yeah, I mean it's a wonderful field. A lot of people like to focus on the finance side, which I do because I want to focus on showing the exchange of wealth to the hands of the people and free economy, right? I want people to understand that they can take, themselves from generational poverty to generational wealth, in particular with, decentralized finance. Because with traditional systems, with traditional financial instruments, savings accounts, RAs, CDs, et cetera, they're built to, just sustain. And then, people put in, their lives, their livelihood and their, all the work they put in for 20, 30 years. And, then they decide, oh, I want to take a vacation. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to buy this finally, And then to say, for instance, though, the whole focal point of getting out of generational poverty. It will take, 50 generations to do that if you're trying to do it in a traditional system, because I'm talking about your families.
Right, it's just
brothers,
too slow.
It's just too slow. It would not happen, right? Not unless you become super famous or super rich, creating an invention or something. But just to the normal people, how do you do that?
Right, so you want to teach people how to do that?
Yeah, exactly. That's really the focal point of one of our products that we have. Our product line at fantomGO is our academy, which is a crypto education platform, which is gamified and incentivized, and it's basically teaching all the aspects of crypto. And of course the very technical aspects of why we even have the blockchain in the first place. But
what does it mean? How does it work?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. The financial aspect of what I think a lot of people are truly interested in is how can it change their lives, and that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on how can crypto change the lives of someone who's from the hood, someone who's from the inner city, right? And not just focusing on obviously that, but because it's everyone, not everyone who's tired of the system that has been built to keep them down, right? The traditional financial system is centralized for a reason, right? It's centralized to control, but it's all about taking that control back. Because we are a democracy. So it's power to the people, and the people can control if they come, together and focus on, DeFi, right? Crypto, because at the end of the day,
explain DeFi, because this is an important part of the concept of.
Yeah, so decentralized finance basically is totally different from a traditional system, because it's open, right? It's open. There's no middlemen in regards to in the banking system, obviously there's always a middleman. There's always these types of fees, transactional fees, any type of back-end fees they don't even know about.
It's like
right?
fees
on fees, and that's how they make their money off of fees, right? Not anything else. Really, it's just the fees.
No, and it's bogus. It's criminal.
Yeah,
actually,
it is
right?
actually. I feel
it's somehow legal,
right? And then of course they're trying to basically bunker down on crypto because of it's not regulated enough. Exactly, it's not regulated enough because you want the control. You want the control. You want the control.
You want the fees.
You want the fees. You want to tax everything so you can benefit off of everything that we do. But you don't want to really give back. You give back, but it's not the size in which we feel, or not even we feel, that it equates to the amount that you spend. You spend far more than what you're trying to tell us that we can't to benefit from.
Right. So you're really seeing you're seeing crypto as a way of giving back to the community too.
Oh yeah, I feel like to change the dynamic of where we're going in this direction, just to give back through the academy, to give back through a coalition that we have, which is a mission outreach to the inner city to teach financial literacy with an emphasis on crypto education, and partnering with local community leaders and also partnering with local government officials to create a program, so that they'll have something that they can utilize and have. But the main thing too, what I always say is that I can give someone tools, but it doesn't mean that they're going to know when to use it and how to use it.
That's right.
And it's not just about having those tools and knowing when and how, because I always like to kind of give this example. I can teach anyone how to fight, but when it comes to them fighting, when someone is putting that aggression and that pressure on them, how will they react? Will they fold? Will they freeze up? Because if they fold and freeze up, it means that they weren't mentally prepared for it. So they had all the tools, but their mental preparedness was not there. So it doesn't matter if I can go and teach someone, from the inner city, about crypto education. But if their mindset hasn't changed, that dynamic change where they start thinking differently, then they will stay in that same, that same rut. So that has to change. That's my focal point too, as well.
So has this been true for you for as soon as you got into crypto, when you realized the potential egalitarianism aspect of it? Or did it dawn on you that this could, I mean, like, I didn't know this was your vision, by the way.
Oh.
I'm hearing this for the first time. So this
Uh,
is an ambitious vision,
Yeah.
and I believe because you do everything that you want to do, you're going to end up being able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I first got into it, no, I didn't really think right off the bat. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, blah, blah, blah. It reminds me of, what we do and, like cryptography and et cetera, et cetera. But I started kind of seeing like the vision, I think maybe in 2018, like, okay, this can actually change people's lives. This can be a vehicle for, the dynamic change that we've been waiting for since financial systems were created.
So in terms of a profound systemic change.
Yes. I mean, because traditionally, most financial systems were all, I mean, even if you go back to like when first, you had the Bank of Italy, right? The Bank of Italy actually turned into the Bank of America, right? And that was in the 1800s. And he was a dynamic change maker, right? Because no one wanted to give out to the little man, right? So he said, you know what? I'm going to be the one that give out to the little men. I'm going to be the one that's going to ensure that people can take out loans, which they weren't able to for their houses at that time. Only the rich were able to.
I didn't know that.
Only the rich were able to. And he saw that. And obviously it changed, obviously. Well, guess what? Because so many people got their hands in the pot and they realized, well, we can control this. But that wasn't the case for him. He was actually a true entrepreneur. A true entrepreneur was, it's a maverick.
So do you think people are going to be able to do this who aren't as smart as you?
Of course. I'm not that
Because
smart.
you're going to teach them. What? You're not, you don't think you're that smart? Oh my. I mean, well, maybe you're just curious and then.
Yeah, but honestly, the average person, of course, the average person will be able to do this, because at the end of the day, it's about simplifying it. It's about making it easy for everyone to do it. It's not about complicating it.
Yeah, because it does seem like a really complicated world for
It is a
everybody that I
complicated
know.
world
They're
for
always
the average
they're trying to
person.
wrap around it. Like, what does it mean? Like, what is it?
Yeah, exactly. I think it is a complicated world for the average person, and that's why our focal point is making it so easy that a 5-year-old can do it. So that's really our focal point. We really want to make the user experience so easy that a 5-year-old can do it, or an 80-year-old, that has no experience with technology or whatever, can go ahead and learn about crypto and learning how to leverage it for not just for themselves but for generations.
Something that you said earlier, and I think it's really true, that it almost seems, and I think this is very often the case with people who have huge obstacles, those very obstacles end up helping them succeed in the future in ways that you can't expect. And that seems to be true for you, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they only I think positioned me to accelerate my vision and my mission. They were there to put me in a position to prepare me for what I'm trying to do. At the end of the day, if I had it all easy, then when the going gets tough, I would fold. But the thing is, it's not going to be easy. This path is not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of friction. Most people, when they meet friction, they stop. When I meet friction, it makes me want to go further, because that means that someone's trying to stop me from doing something that I want to do, and I'm not going to allow that.
It's really inspiring, Daron. I can't wait for young people to hear this, to hear that how far you've come and also how varied your life has already been. You're a young man still.
Yeah.
And you've had like 30 lives.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely just, curious.
Yeah, and unfortunately, your mom's not alive anymore,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She passed away last year she had breast cancer and then eventually lung cancer.
Right, and I'm sorry, and you said she was the strongest woman you've ever known.
Absolutely, the strongest woman I've ever known. I mean, she's been through so much throughout her life, and she kept going forward. She kept moving forward every time. It was never an excuse. It was only a solution and an answer. And she was the most positive person I've ever met. She was the life of the party too. She was just an outgoing person, and she was a great singer too. I wish I had her voice. And just amazing woman.
Well, you seem to have inherited a lot of her qualities. Maybe not her singing voice, but a lot else.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I bet you probably can sing. You say you don't, but you probably sing great.
I can hold a tune, but I can't sing for sure.
So I'm going to ask you something that I ask all my guests, and I want you to see if you can dig deep for this.
Hmm.
What is the one thing about you that people would never know unless you told them?
Wow. One thing that I mean, I'm an open book for the most part, But if I was to really think of something that is just like no one really knows unless I tell them, yeah, that one's a hard one to think about because I'm really trying to pinpoint something that I would say, that is not exposed, rather, because it's really about what's not exposed to people.
That's
And
right.
what's not open or vulnerable, or that vulnerability that I would say. I mean, most people know everything because I'm really open about who I am and what I am or what I've done. I mean, to a degree, So I guess I would say that if there's one thing, most people know that I'm a very confident person. I'm super confident in everything I do. I believe that, I can take on the world. But honestly, most of the time, I doubt myself. Yeah, everything I do, I doubt myself.
So every moment you're presenting as this like super confident, super accomplished guy who's like go go go, new new new. I conquered this, I conquered that, and yet actually there's a part of you saying, "Uh-oh, no, I can't do it. It's not going
Yeah,
to happen.
yeah,
It's not going to work."
yeah, definitely everything that I do.
Yeah, I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I guess everybody has a little bit of that inside them, but you're saying it's like a pretty loud voice.
Yeah, definitely. Very loud.
Let me ask you one more thing, Daron. What would you say to a little kid who's having trouble, the kind of trouble that you had,
Hmm.
who didn't know where he was going to sleep or where he was going to eat or who was going to hit him or who was going to abuse him? What would you say to that little kid?
Wow. Uh, Firstly, I would just let them know that, everything's going to be all right. Even though, you know, everything looked like it never is going to change, especially since, a lot of the time you feel like you're stuck in this dark hole. It feels like no matter what you say, what you do, no matter how good you try, you still will not get out of it. It's like a nightmare, you know? And it feels that way. It feels like you can't escape. It feels like you're drowning. You're drowning in pain. You're drowning in sorrow. Like, whatever you're doing, it's just the pain that you feel. You want it to end. But the thing is, there's also the other side of the token. It actually changes. It does end, and it does get better. And it's not going to always be this way, because you're not going to always be that child. You're going to grow up, and you're going to be able to make those choices yourself. You're going to be able to be the person that you wish that person was.
That's a really nice thought, Daron. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really do feel like, if being in that situation and as a child and you feel so lost, And in that darkness, it really does make you think that why are you even here? Like, why would you be born just to be in this struggle? Why would you be born just for people to abuse you? And unfortunately, we live in a world that's like, there's a lot of bad people. But we also live in a world where there's also good people. And we just have to either find those good people or be the ones that end up growing up to be those good people for the people who are like us when we're young.
That's right. You become the good. Yeah. I'm really glad that you're doing that, Daron. I think it's a really important mission.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you for talking with me today. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daron, for sharing your time and your story with us. I think what you said about mindset and having the mindset to succeed and overcome your obstacles is so powerful and is incredibly valuable to all of us. So thank you for that. In our next episode, Jayne Amelia speaks with foster mom and adoptive mom, Dina Murray. Dina's been a foster parent for over 25 youth. She and her husband actually adopted 12 of the children they fostered. And now her primary focus is working with MillionKids.org, combating sex trafficking, child pornography, and sextortion through education and training. And foster youth are particularly vulnerable to people that would lure them into that world. So in some of the upcoming episodes, we're going to be hearing from survivors of sex trafficking and those who fight against it. Thank you, and be well. If you see something, say something. If you suspect a child's health or safety is jeopardized in any way by parents or anyone else, contact the Child Protective Services Agency in your county. 24-hour hotlines are staffed by trained social workers who will help you through the process, and you can do so anonymously. In California, you can call the Child Protection Hotline at 800-540-4000. So if you see something, say something. You might be saving a child's life. If you want to know more about becoming a CASA anywhere in the country, go to nationalcasagal.org, and in LA, casala.org. And if you want to know more about becoming a foster parent, check out the National Foster Parent Association at nfponline.org. There's also faithfosterfamilies.org and adoptuskids.org. There's tons of other information online as well, so you can just hunt around. We also want to thank the supremely talented Christina Apostolopoulos for her beautiful original music. You can find her music on Spotify or Instagram at Christina Aposta. And also thank you to Yukon Har for his engineering. Thanks for listening, and if you like what you hear and you find it as valuable as we do, please rate us and hit subscribe. You can also make a donation at bonusbabies.com. See you next time.